Hey, somebody's got to turn off the 8-track. You did? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to the Professional Noticer.
We want you to play defense as you're instructed to play. Understand?
Yes, sir.
I don't want you up there running around faking blitzes and getting out of position. You understand?
Yes, sir.
You line up where you're supposed to line up. None of that Harry High School, fake this, fake do what we're told.
Yes, sir.
You can't play football in the NFL if you're not coachable.
Here, you and I will use common sense and all the wisdom we can muster to move beyond what is true and go all the way to the truth. I am the Professional Noticer.
Play ball!
Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me part of your week. Our topics truly vary wildly at times, but it is because the things you care about most are often greatly affected by the things you care about least. Therefore, we will field questions about business and spiritual issues, popular culture, and conundrums like why are boxing rings square? My purpose here today, and with every show we do, is to play the part of a best friend or coach. I want to help you live the life you would live if all your toughest questions were answered. The Professional Noticer sponsored this week by Rocker Man of Texas. Have you been to their website, rockermanoftexas.com? These people create cedar rocking chairs, rocking benches, porch swings, tables, chairs. This is beyond porch furniture and outdoor furniture. This is great stuff, heavy-duty stuff. First time I ever saw one, I was in a hotel, and every hotel room at this place had one of these rockers. I said, this is not one of these cheap, thin rockers that you've seen in the past. Rockermanoftexas.com made their bones on this big, wide, heavy rocker. And I had been pricing stuff to put outside our house. And so when I saw it, I thought, I can't afford this. There's no way I can get several of these. And I was shocked. Go to the website, rockermanoftexas.com. You will be shocked. This is a family-owned business. This is a dad and a mom and 2 teenage boys, and they hand make every piece. But you will be shocked at the great prices, okay? And just a great bunch of people to work with. And the Western cedar that these things are made from, I mean, you'll be passing them down to the next generation. And so I love my rocker. I love it. This is a great gift for a dad or a retirement, or if a mom's wanting a place to say. This is more than just your regular rocker. Rockermanoftexas.com. Observations and answers. Yeah, that's what we do here. I got a question last week. Matthew, I ran into a guy in the airport. His name's Larry. And Larry said, I want to ask a question. I said, oh, okay. And Larry wanted to know how words make it into the dictionary. So I thought, that's a pretty good question, because I don't know the answer, but I did some research, and it is very interesting how words make it into the dictionary. And I found, here's a few of the words that have made it into English dictionaries since the year 2000. And it's kind of it's kind of a mini time capsule of 21st century culture, because some of the words are familiar and it's easy to forget they hadn't been around forever. But the others, it's just kind of odd to me. It's just kind of odd to see how these words ended up in the dictionary. And they decide upon them by saying, whether or not they have what they call lasting potential or cultural significance. And so these are words that have been added since the year 2000. I jotted a few of them down, but there's been a couple of hundred words added. One is mankini. Can you believe that? It's like a brief bathing suit for a man. Ugh, a mankini. Ugh. And that's actually in the dictionary. I love this one, though. I love this. Get this. A breatharian. You ever heard of a breatharian?
Never.
No. A breatharian is a person who believes that it's possible through meditation to reach a level of consciousness where one can obtain all the nutrients they need from the air. A breatharian. So probably not many old ones. Blamestorming. Blamestorming. Now, that's kind of what you would think it would be. It's brainstorming, but brainstorming about who to blame. Because it's in the dictionary, it says it's a method of collectively finding someone to blame for a mistake no one is willing to confess to. Often occurs in the form of meetings of colleagues at work who have gathered to decide who is to blame. Can you imagine? Blamestorming. I like that. I also like this one. You've heard of like brain candy, and gazillionaire made it in there. As a rich person, a gazillionaire. I always say jillionaire. You know, if somebody's like, just mad, I say jillion. I wonder if I could get jillionaire in there sometime. But here's one. Globesity. And you probably guessed that too. It's the worldwide epidemic of obesity. And this term was coined by the World Health Organization in 2001. Globesity. How about this one that just made it in 2011? Adult child. That's somebody who's 25 years or older and still shows no interest in joining the real world. An adult child. I was amazed to see there are some words that are like, I guess you would think they were around forever, but it was only in 2009 that the word bailout got into the dictionary. Bailout. And superbug was in 2010. Superbug, a bacteria that is resistant to antibiotics, even though those of us who grew up in the 70s considered Herbie a superbug. Let's see. Earworm. I guess that would be new. I don't remember growing up with earworm, a catchy song or a tune that runs continually through someone's mind. And somewhere Jerry Garcia is really happy because deadhead is in the dictionary. Is that crazy? Deadhead. But still, after all this time, it is amazing to me that the word naive is not in any American dictionary.
Really?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. Observations and answers. And that's what we do. I deliver these observations, but you got to provide the questions. Okay. Questions are a critical component of the person that you and I aspire to become. You may say, well, what was the purpose of that thing you just did? Talking about the dictionary and the new words. Look, cultural literacy is huge. I mean, this is a huge thing. If your children grow up, or if you are not culturally literate, if you have nothing to talk about at an office party, if you have nothing to converse about, at the big networking party put on by the Chamber of Commerce, if you're not interesting to be around, you're going to have a harder time. And so cultural literacy is actually a huge part of the person that we're aspiring to become. And so occasionally we add some of these observations in here, but questions are a critical component of this too. Nobody should be embarrassed to ask a question. We need you to please, no matter how small, no matter how large, to go to 1-800-726-ANDY. 1-800-726-ANDY. And extension 1 is the professional noticer, and you can just leave a question on there about anything. All right? We want to hear the serious ones. We want to hear the funny ones. We want to hear the challenges in your life. The quality of your answers can only be determined by the quality of your questions. So you want to ask good ones. We have a question this week from John. He's from Arizona. Let's listen.
Hey, Andy, this is John from Safford, Arizona. Buddy, you've just helped me so much in my life. I mean, you actually, in your previous podcast, did a whole episode answering a question that I had back when the podcast was in the double digits, and man, it's just made all the difference. I've gone on to do some pretty neat things. I've written a couple of books, and I've got a business that does in the multiples of millions of dollars a year. And man, so much of that came from you and what you write. In fact, one of the things my employees have to do to work for us, not to work for us, but to get their bonuses, to read the 7 Decisions. So, man, you're just a huge influence in my life. I've got something that's a bit of a problem I don't know how to handle. At the times when my wife and I argue, one of us is offended and one of us is offending. We don't argue over big things. Nobody's stealing money or, doing anything horrible. But at the times when we're the most hurt, somebody has said or done something that the other one has taken offense to. And what I'm having a hard time understanding is when is it the offender that needs to correct what they're doing, and when is it the offended that needs to know that it's time to make a change? That's the line that we've come down on is, okay, somebody's feelings is hurt. Was it so-and-so's fault that they hurt your feelings, or was it your fault that your feelings got hurt? And where is that line? So, man, appreciate everything you do, love everything you do, and I can't wait to hear a giant pile of wisdom on this one.
Okay, John, thank you. And from Arizona, wow, it's a dry heat. I was out there one time in Scottsdale. It was 116 degrees, and I'm like, it is hot. And somebody said that, somebody said to me, oh, yes, but it's a dry heat. And I'm like, yeah, so is my oven. But 116, oh my gosh, I wish I had an egg to try to fry it on the pavement, because I swear I could have. Okay, so John, man, first of all, I'm so honored that you give me any credit at all for all the successes that you have had. I feel like I need to apologize to your employees. Yeah, I'm sorry. He's making you read my book to get your bonus. But I do understand, man, if you have people who are working with you, who are principle-based and understand principles, things are a whole lot easier to do. It's a lot easier to manage. People work a lot better together if they understand this. And you, John, have just hit on a big one here. And of course, it doesn't surprise me that here you have this multi-million-dollar business, you've written books, and where does the challenge hit you? At home. Boy, that's the ground zero for most of us. And that's where we find ourselves, I guess, the most comfortable. We let our guard down, and we are just not as nice sometimes, or not as careful sometimes in our own homes as we are like out on the street. I remember reading, there's a couple of lines that King Solomon wrote, and King Solomon said, he's like praying, and he said, Lord, help me to act like I should, especially in my own home where it is most important. And I get it. I'm like, yeah, I'm with you, King Solomon, because it's a tough one. It's a tough one. You're most comfortable with your spouse, and sometimes, man, that mouth just overloads the brain, and here we go. You asked the question. I'm thinking about this in these two questions. When is it the offender that needs to correct what they're doing, or when is it that the offended needs to know that it's time to make a change? Honestly, John, I would say that in 95% of the times, the answer is yes. The answer is both. I think in 95% of the time, the offender could probably find a better way to have said what they said. And I think that a lot of times, 95% of the time, 98% of the time, I think the offender could probably find a better way of saying what was said. I'm only using myself as a scale here. So I am thinking 98% of the time, Polly gets bent out of shape about something I said. I'm sure that I should have said it in a different way. Now, I don't know if Polly will hear this episode, so please, you guys, please, if you're listening to this and you're running to my wife, don't say, Andy said that 98% of the time. You are correct. Don't do that to me, okay? But it's the truth. I know that. I mean, I'm a talker. I'm a communicator, and yet I let down my guard with my family. So John, you and I have to be very, very careful with that. And if your wife is the one that is offending, which, hey, we're equal opportunity offenders, I'm sure, in our marriage. And I'm sure you're probably equal opportunity offenders in yours. It's not one of you who's doing the offending and one of you who's like always doing something wrong. I'm pretty sure it's 50-50 on that. And I'm sure I get my feelings hurt as many times as Polly might. But I really believe that, number one, it is important to think before we talk and to figure out the right way or the right time to say something. Now, on the other hand, we leap to a defense. When somebody says something about the way we're doing something or when we did something or the person we chose to work with, there's so many things that we have that we're liable to be offended by, that somebody brings up, that somebody says about us. And so with a partner that is determined to say it in the right way, I know that even somebody saying it in the right way, my defense mechanisms just jump up and go crazy when somebody says something, especially if it's my wife or my boys. I want to defend what I've done, and I guess I don't know if that's part of the, the dad, husband, man thing. I got to be right. I got to, I'm the leader here. I need to be right. And maybe that is, but it's very important for us to take a moment to be quiet, just to be quiet and take in what is said and to be able to say, what I hear you saying is that so-and-so and so-and-so, and get a confirmation. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Okay. Yikes. Well, can I ask you a couple of questions about it? Would that be different if this happened? Would it matter if you knew this? Or this was what I was thinking. Does that have any bearing? Or does what I'm doing overcome that reason? Because there's a way, John, to talk this through and just to understand that a lot of times hurt feelings are an unfortunate byproduct of growth. It's nothing we would choose. It's nothing we would even want to put, we wouldn't want to hurt somebody else's feelings. And boy, that's something that we can really attempt to control. Now there's some people that they're just not going to hear anything, okay? But we can control the way we say certain things, and then we can control how we listen to a criticism, even knowing that sometimes, I had a question, I don't know, a week or two ago, where somebody said, it's a constructive criticism. And then somebody got real bent out of shape. And I'm like, yeah, you wonder how constructive that was. Okay, so when we criticize somebody, we do want to be constructive. And a great way to do that is to ask questions. Questions are such a huge part of our lives and our learning. And John, thank you for this one. This is a good question. I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing the tiny bit of mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, smile while you talk. Shake hands with the kids you meet. And make sure you have an answer to the question, before drawing boards were invented, what did everyone go back to? And so, until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Graham crackers and milk provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by overtheline.com. Keeping relationships together for more than a decade. Overtheline.com is an online referee for you and your spouse with literally thousands of arguments already decided for you. Your husband's joke at the dinner party last night? Was it close to the line? Or was it over the line? Let us decide so you don't have to. He burped at the ball game last week? No big deal. But what if he burps tonight at your parents' 50th anniversary event? From stage, while giving the toast? Sorry, that's over the line. We have print examples, audio discussions, and video that shows exactly where the line should be. That's overtheline.com.